All right, Jet fans. It's Monday, March the 2nd, 2026. We got to talk about the strange case of Derek Carr. It is along that time where tomorrow is the deadline for the tags to be applied to the players. Sometimes they can get tagged, and we have a tag person, which is Brees Hall. We're trying to get a contract done with him. If not, we tag him, and then we continue negotiating until July, and he either plays on the tag or he accepts the offer we're trying to make him. Uh, but in addition to that, the big question coming out of the combine and still rippling through the mysterious air at this moment in time is what the hell the Jets are going to do at quarterback. And according to the reporting, the Jets are now have basically done their due diligence. What'll it cost to do this? What'll it cost to do that? Should we do the, what are we looking at in the draft and all this? Free agents, trades, draft. Those are the ways you can acquire players. And they're apparently having their meetings today, Monday. And then within the next few days, we'll see what the hell they decided to do. And what I don't understand is why more people are not talking about Derek Carr. Now, Zach Rosenblather has a free article out today on The Athletic. Perhaps they've given up trying to put Rosenblather's blatherings behind a paywall because nobody will want to jump the paywall to get to this crap. But at the same time, he does have sources, and that's why we have to pay attention to him and Country Club Connor and Dick Chimney and the rest. Now, in this column, he talks about all of the possible quarterbacks, and I really don't understand, I gotta say, the the lack of interest or the lack of the obvious solution to the problem that we currently have, which is that our number one and two targets should be Derek Carr and then Kirk Cousins. But for various reasons, it seems like Carr and Cousins don't. Well, there's not a lot of smoke there. There's people talking about Kyler Murray, people talking about Mac Jones and Malik Willis and Jacoby Brissett and all these people. The obvious solution is Derek Carr. Now, I want to talk about Carr, but the same things that I talk about with Derek Carr apply the same to Kirk Cousins. I'm going to assume these people want to be starting players. They don't want to be backups. Carr could just stay retired. He didn't need to come back. He's made a lot of money in his career, and Cousins is getting away from a situation in Atlanta where he was upset that he was the backup to Michael Penix after signing a big contract with them. So now he's going to go and be a backup somewhere like Minnesota to J.J. McCarthy after he was backing up Penix? I don't get it. So, but with Derek Carr, I don't quite get this idea that Derek Carr wouldn't want to come here. Now, there's been a lot of information that's come out recently about Derek Carr. Derek Carr, we got a report this weekend that he really, really wants to unretire. Like, probably coming from his agent, like, hey, we're serious about this, everybody. Because nobody's really talking about Derek Carr as a free agent or as an acquisition or somebody you should go get. I don't get it. That's why I am perplexed by this situation. Now, before we get into all of the specifics, I should mention that when I talk about Derek Carr or, well, just about anything, I usually know what I'm talking about because I've done the work. So in this case, I went back and watched Derek Carr's 2024 season when he was with the Saints to see, is this guy done? Is he washed? What's going on? So I watched all of the games, and so anybody who's telling you about this situation who hasn't watched him play lately, the 2024 season was his most recent one, you should probably disregard their opinion. You got to have watched him. And then also, people may not understand because I'm so funny and I'm so handsome and I have all these things going for me. I also, I'm just kidding. I also went through scout school Scouting Academy, and I'm a graduate of the Scouting Academy, so I know how to scout. And I also have developed, as the Inner Circle members know, and you should join the Inner Circle by hitting the join button down below. If not, just subscribe. That one's free to the channel, and we'd appreciate it. But as those folks know, I developed a quarterback grading system, and so when you're doing scouting, you need some sort of system to keep track of all the things that you're keeping track of, and then you can use the system to compare people based on your system. Basic scouting 101. Right? So I've done all those things, and that's why I've determined that the two best options for the Jets right now are Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins, and then you get young fella behind him for the future. But nobody seems to be talking about Derek Carr, and maybe it's because his agent isn't as prominent as some of these people's agents are. Maybe it's because he knows he has a deal with the Jets in his back pocket. I don't know, but it's very, very strange to me that the obvious best choice for the Jets isn't being talked about. And so now what has come out? So this report came out that, hey, everybody, Derek Carr really is serious about this unretirement thing. He's healthy. And that seems to have gotten really no traction. People reported that, but then all the talking heads continue talking about these quarterbacks, and Carr is not part of it. It's weird. Now, what has Carr said about the Jets, though, and about potentially joining? Now, there's a lot of connections to the Jets you may not realize. First of all, Bill Musgrave is our quarterback coach. He was his offensive coordinator with the Raiders when he went to the Pro Bowl twice. Had two great seasons under Musgrave, and has said that he loves Musgrave in the past. A glowing review. Loved playing for him. Okay. And he and his brother David are also close friends with Aaron Glenn, our head coach. They're very familiar with him. They're both from Southeast Texas, their families. And so they're very familiar. They go golfing together. They know each other very, very well. And he knows and loves AG, he has said, Derek Carr. So we got a guy who is his OC as our quarterback coach. He loves AG, the head coach. And he's also said he loves the Jet fans. He loves you and me because the year we were trying to tank for Trevor, and that didn't work. And the Raiders beat us, and they had a late game touchdown bomb, and we lost, and we were trying to lose that season. Apparently, Jet fans just donated en masse after that game to Derek Carr's favorite charity. So he loves the Jet fans for that. Now, he also said that he's completely healthy, so that's good. But he also said he wants to play for a contender. And so I think a lot of people heard that contender part, and they're like, well, the Jets stink, so that's out. But is it really? If you actually look at the roster, as we have done in previous videos, I encourage you to go back and look, we're not that far off, especially considering how many draft picks we have, and that we're now moving to a 3-4. I don't think people understand why that's going to help improve the defense. It's not that the 3-4 is inherently better than a 4-3. It isn't. They both can be effective. You just need the right kinds of players on the team. And with the majority of the NFL in a 4-3, and in that you need 8 to 10 defensive linemen who can play that way. It's one gapping. You have to then, if you're the Jets, then you have to compete with all those 4-3 teams to get the talent in free agency, trades, and the draft. They're all going to be trying to acquire the same types of players. Since fewer teams have a 3-4 base, now we're trying to find nose tackles and two gappers. And those are easier to find because there's less demand for them, and you only need about 6, maybe 7. So you need fewer of them. They're in less demand, and therefore it's a lot easier to build up the talent on that side of the field. So that's how we're going to improve the defense. And then the problem with the offense has been the quarterback. Getting Derek Carr solves the problem. Or Cousins, or anybody who can fucking function at the quarterback position solves the problem. We have a good offensive line. We have enough weapons with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, and Adonai Mitchell, who's very underrated, and John Mechie and Isaiah Williams, good supplemental players, and Mason Taylor. I mean, what else are you looking for? So I don't know if it's because he said he wants to play for a contender, and then everybody just said, well, the Jets are not a contender. Well, we very easily could be if you get that type of player. Carr, that is, or Cousins. And the other thing is, what other fit is there in this league for him if he goes, well, the Jets are out because they're not contender? All right, look around. What jobs are available where a contender needs a quarterback? There's really only one, the Steelers. The Steelers have Will Howard and Mason Rudolph, and the reports are that they're going to re-sign Aaron Rodgers this year. And so we should get that news in the next couple of days. So if that job closes, where's Carr or Cousins, for that matter, going to go? There's very few teams competing in the playoffs, very good teams that don't have a quarterback. The reason you're good is because you have a quarterback. That's how it works. So where is he going to go where he has a connection to our coaching staff, very good connections? He has weapons, Garrett Wilson, Adonai Mitchell, Mason Taylor, Breece Hall, and a pretty good offensive line. Could get much better if we re-sign AVT. If not, Johnny Simpson. All right. If not, maybe a Wyatt Teller, whoever we get at guard. Then the offensive line's going to be solid. Where is he going to get a better deal than this? Not to mention, we also have money. And it's been reported that Woody's going to spend this year on free agency. So if we have to spend $30 million on a quarterback, well, if it's Carr, who's only 34, 35, I think Woody would go for that, because that could be a 3 to 4 year solution, while we develop young fella behind. And that would be the idea. You win now with Carr, and then you win later with the young player, whoever it may be, Cole Payton, Drew Aller, whatever it may be, Ty Simpson. So it's strange to me. Now, on the other hand, they are getting this information from somewhere. These reporters, they don't just make things up. So, like, for example, in this article that Rosenblather wrote, he wrote, I'm not sure the Jets are especially interested anyway. And then on a podcast that he has with his butt buddy, Country Club Connor, he said basically the same thing, that there's no interest on either side, Cousins coming to us and us getting Cousins. That I don't understand. I really don't. Can someone explain why the Jets would not be interested in Kirk Cousins for a couple of years? Considering our situation, what we got going on. We got nothing. That I don't get. But Carr is another point altogether. Now, the other thing about Carr is that he's supposedly a devout Christian, as is Aaron Glenn and as is Frank Reich. And I've mentioned this a couple of times. There's a parable in Matthew, the book of Matthew, called the parable of the talents. Matthew 25:14-30. It tells the story of a master who entrusts his property to 3 servants. Sometimes they say it's a father and his sons, according to their abilities. Upon his return, he rewards those, and it's usually 2 out of the 3, who invested the money wisely, and punishes the one who buried it, illustrating the importance of using one's gifts and resources responsibly. The way it's usually said is that God gives you these abilities. In Derek Carr's case, the ability to play quarterback at the NFL level. Very few people on this earth have that, and the ability to make the money that's associated with that. So you should then use those gifts that were given to you by God. You didn't create them. You didn't create the fact that you were 6'3". You didn't create the fact that you could throw the ball like a rocket. God gave you those abilities. And then shouldn't you use those abilities to maximize your returns, in this case a salary, so that then you could take that money and go and do philanthropic things like food pantries or libraries in rural areas or whatever you want to do with it. Go help the poor people of this world. Right? Isn't that the Christian thing to do? What are you going to do instead? Sit there and be retired and not make $100 million that you could get from the Jets, which he realistically could? At his age, we'd probably pay him 35, give him a Sam Darnold-esque contract, which he would be worth, and at least 70 of it guaranteed, maybe the third year, 80, half of it's guaranteed, something like that. And if he continues to play well, we'll continue to pay him, of course. But, and think about how much money he could make if he takes this goddamn franchise that's a laughing stock and turns us into contenders. Super Bowl contenders. Are you kidding me? I mean, the endorsement deals, we'll be building statues to this man all over New York City and New Jersey, for that matter. So, how is it that you're going to consider yourself some devout Christian and you're not going to make use of your talents because the Jets might not be as close to winning as you would like? So, you're going to turn down 70, 80, 100, $135 million as a devout Christian, which you could then turn around and give to church ministries and food pantries and goodwill and all these charitable to charities all over the place. He also has a foundation. I mean, he could basically fund his foundation, for the rest of his life through this money, and then divvy up spending this out to worthwhile causes for the rest of your life. You're going to say no, nah. The Jets, they're not close enough to winning, so 100 million, I'll just, nah. What? Excuse me? I don't understand it. We have the coaching connections. We have people you know and are familiar with. We have a respected play caller now, and Frank Reich, a well-respected, you don't have to take a chance on a young fella like Tanner Engstrand. We know what Reich can do, given good quarterback play. He has a whole history of it. And we have young whippersnappers from Stanford University and Seth Ryan, who's very well thought of from the Lions, and all of this. What in the hell is the problem? I would like to know. Oh, they're not ready to win. Okay. All right. So you're going to turn down $100 million. I would like someone to explain that to me. Now, maybe it just is the Jets stink is too stinky. Like, all the dumb shit that we did and all the losing that we've done and all of the media coverage and exaggeration of all the shit we did and, losing we've done. Maybe it's just too much and the reputation is like, no, thank you. But the other part of it is I really don't see where these people are going to land. Do you want to play football or not and make all this money as a starting quarterback, or you want to go make $2 million as a backup? I mean, Kirk Cousins is going to go back up J.J. McCarthy for $5 million when he can make 40, 50 with us? Cousins also a devout Christian, so the same thing about the talents parable applies to him. How are you going to use God's talents that he gave you and not maximize your earning potential? Well, they've already made hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, so, I mean, the more you make, the more you can give away, the more causes you can help, the more people you can help, the more meals you buy for hungry people. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, there's very few people on this fucking earth that have the ability to bring in that much money in any kind of way, shape, or form. And these two have it. They're supposed to be devout Christians, but because the Jets don't win enough, no thanks. Nope. Staying away from that. Oh, no. $100 million for charitable causes? No way. You got to win more than that. Sorry, Jetsies. What? Make it make sense. I don't know. Make it make sense. I don't get it. But apparently that's what's going on. And to be honest with you, for me, that's pretty strange when we're talking about Kyler Murray and this one and that one, and the answers are staring you right in the fucking face. And it's the best situation for them and the best situation for us. I just don't get it. I mean, and the other thing is the challenge of it. I mean, the challenge. I mean, do these people want to be treated like a hero for the rest of their lives? These people would not buy a meal in New Jersey for the rest of their lives. But that's New Jersey, Frankie. Yeah, and New York City, too. I mean, seriously. At this point, the end of your career, wouldn't you want to rescue a downtrodden franchise from fucking obscurity and raise them up to a Super Bowl contender? How about the challenge of that? Where I just don't get it. But anyway, there you go. That's the Carr conundrum, the strange case of Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins. I just don't get it. Let's see what happens this week. Maybe something will change. Let's hope so. But as of right now, I'm a little perplexed. Let's just say that. I'm a little perplexed. All right. Well, tomorrow we'll probably come back on the air because tomorrow's going to be Tuesday. We'll know about this Brees Hall situation for sure. Is he going to get tagged? Does he get to take the deal? What's going to happen? So we'll probably come on and do a news show tomorrow. And then after that, hopefully, we'll see what happens. I mean, if Frank Reich comes out of retirement only to coach Kyler Murray, ugh. No, I cannot see that happening. It's the fucking Jets, Frankie. That's the problem. Yeah, well. All right. See you next time.